stuff's not right. So.
Great. Good evening. I'll call to order the Monday, December 12th, 2022 Winchester Select Board meeting. My name is Rich Mucci. I'm the chair of the Winchester Select Board. With me this evening are my colleagues, Vice Chair Anthea Brady, Ariella Guluboff, John Fallon, and Michael Betancourt. We have a very limited agenda tonight. We really have one item of business, which is our town manager selection. We'll have a discussion and vote on a town manager candidate. But before that, I said last meeting that I would open it up to public comment. If anyone from the public wished to make a comment on the search, they could do so this evening. And I would, at this time, open it up to public comment. Seeing no one here in the audience for public comment, we will move right into the agenda then. So I thought what we might do first, if it made sense for everyone, is to see if we can narrow this down to two choices and then go from there. Does that work with everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So with that, we can begin discussion. We had, just a reminder to the viewers at home, I guess, we had three excellent candidates. We had our friends from Paradigm, John's here, Ray's here. Bernie, I think they did an excellent job throughout the entire process. We had, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 candidates apply. We had a screening committee that screened resumes, ended up interviewing several people, and ultimately delivered three names to us, including Beth Rudolph, in order to choose the next town manager. From there, last week, Thursday, we interviewed those candidates. We had an hour session with each. Those are available on WinCam to watch. And basically decided to meet tonight. I think it was Wednesday, wasn't it? We met Wednesday. All the days blend together. And decided to meet tonight to deliberate. So with that, certainly open it up to discussions about the candidates, with the idea that at this point in the discussion, we'd be trying to narrow it down to two.
For me, it came to between Beth and Chris. Those are the two front runners for me.
Okay.
So, I mean, I just want to thank, them, guys from Paradigm, and everybody who served in the selection committee or the search committee, as well as all the candidates that put themselves forward, not just the ones that came at the end, but also all 20-something that submitted. Winchester is a great place for a town manager, and I thought we had three strong candidates in the interviews. I think there was one that stood out to me, and that's Beth Rudolph. So that would be my number one choice.
Right.
And I'll agree with John in terms of we're selecting two, that Beth Rudolph and then Christina would be the two who rose to the top for me, and really appreciate the process that we went through, especially working with John and Ray throughout.
Sorry, I agree with both of them that Chris would be
Right.
number
Right.
two. I
just want to say
numbers.
that no matter who we select, I'm behind them 100%, and I think we all are, so that's really important. I'm sure we all feel the same way.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll say the same thing. I mean, I think that Chris came out as the number one referral from out of the screening committee, which did a lot of great work. And I thank Paradigm for the work that they've done, and certainly everyone on the committee. We certainly know Beth as one of the most high caliber employees we have here, and I've worked with Beth for a long time, and certainly would concur there. Chris is really a perfect fit for Winchester, and his background is impressive in what we need. And at the same time, I think Beth for us is really excels in a way that is something that puts her a little bit above everyone else. So I'm happy to have a further discussion about it, but it seems that for me, any one of these candidates are highly qualified and could do this job very well. And certainly, if we have to narrow it down to the process, it's kind of an embarrassment of riches with, what's in front of us. But certainly at the top end of things for me would be Beth Rudolph. And so I just to kind of move the discussion along since we're kind of bouncing around.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll step back for a second. I want to thank Anthony and Saldi for applying, and Chris Senior as well. Obviously, when you have an internal candidate, people can get skirmish about applying, whether the process is truly open. I think this was an open process. Anthony and Saldi, doing great work in Littleton, has had some tough circumstances to deal with there. Been there a short period of time, but seems to, have glowing recommendations for working in that community and is really trying to make a difference there. I felt after the first, after gathering some information, checking some background information and listening to the interviews, I felt that the two best candidates would be Chris Senior and Beth Rudolph, in my opinion. That's not a knock on Anthony. Like I said, I think he's doing great work where he is. We have to narrow down the process, and I felt that Chris, given his experience, and Beth, were more my top two after that interview process. So from there, that's where I kind of narrowed it down, okay? And then on Thursday, I kind of went to work a little bit more in the process, at least me personally. Knowing that those were my two candidates, what I basically did was I began, an extensive process that, lasted pretty much 4 days of trying to get as much information about Chris and his work in Cohasset, and also, analyzing my experience with Beth, especially over the last, several months. That process included, speaking both to Beth and Chris one-on-one over the weekend, speaking to members in Cohasset, members of the community, speaking to members here, trying to reach out to everyone on the screening committee. I watched all of the Cohasset Select Board meetings since March. I watched other Cohasset programming available on their public access that Chris was a part of. I watched their goal-setting meeting of the Cohasset Select Board past June. I sought advice from individuals that have worked with both towns in various capacities and have had the chance to interact with both candidates, but not necessarily were staff members. I spoke to some past leaders of corporations for guidance on hiring managers and high-level executives. And I spoke to former select board members and educated myself on our town manager history in this town and what worked and what didn't work. Like I said, I tried to get the views of all the screening committee members and their take as well. And where I landed, they're both excellent candidates. They both have great personalities. Certainly, I got that in my one-on-one interviews with both of them over the weekend. Genuinely nice people. Chris has done an excellent job in Cohasset. There's no doubt about that. And I think Beth has done an excellent job here as our acting town manager. I think both have strengths and weaknesses, and I think both would have a learning curve if they took this job. I think Chris would need to learn the town, the issues and operations, and that might take some time, whereas Beth needs to continue to gain experience in a manager role. But I think both are fast learners and eager to learn, and both good listeners, and both seem to be workaholics. Like I said, I've worked probably the closest with Beth since last March when I assumed the chair position, and I have no complaints. She has risen to the challenge in every situation that and this board has put in front of her. Some of the big ones that stand out are the Waterfield project, Swanton Street project that we recently passed at town meeting. We've developed a work plan, and we've diligently, surgically dealt with ARPA and divvying out about approximately $3.3 million in projects to date. Everything that we ask her to do, she follows up on and gets it done. She's really growing into the job, in my opinion. I've personally seen her confidence increase over the last year, but at the same time, She's also had to do this while she's been our full-time town engineer, so she's wearing two hats at this point. Certainly, she is not without weaknesses, no one is. And I think she knows what those are, and I think it's been a challenge for her, excuse me, I think it will be, I think it's been a challenge to grow in those areas as an acting town manager versus a permanent town manager. I think she recognizes that she's only as good as the team that's around her, and she understands the value of these relationships and how she needs to foster new relationships for continued success. I think Beth deserves a chance. She has proven herself worthy of this opportunity, and she would be my vote for the town manager. And that's not to take anything away from Chris Senior. Like I said, I think he's done an excellent job in Cohasset, but at this time, after this process has played out and the process that I personally undertook over these last several days, I feel like Beth, is the right fit for us at this time in history. So that would be my choice. Certainly, I agree with everyone narrowing it down to those two, but I also agree with what I've heard so far, that I think Beth deserves the opportunity to lead this town forward. Not sure if anybody else has anything else.
I'll move that we enter negotiations with Beth Rudolph for the town management position. Certainly, we can have discussion if there's a second. This is one of, if not the singular most important decisions that we can make, and I don't think any of us took it lightly. And I think the process was reflective of a real investment in the town and from the board to find the right fit. And as Rich said, I think that's one of the big things people understand. It's our management team that really brings success to the community, and I think our team is strong. And I wouldn't say I've worked with Beth since I've been on the board in 2015, and I can't say I could identify any weaknesses. I will say I think in the interview she sold her success is a little bit short when we look at long-term projects like the flood mitigation program and certainly the Waterfield project, but quite a few more. And so I think that when you look at the job of town manager, it's there's a process there, but there's also a team that's important, and I think that she has demonstrated 18 years of commitment to the town, and that's it's a position that we're lucky to be in, frankly, to have somebody like her. So didn't mean to cut off the conversation, but figured I would move it along, seeing as we're moving in the right direction.
I'll second that. I think at this moment, Beth is the right choice for us. I think we can't go wrong with either of the two candidates who we're discussing right now, but Beth will really sort of add to the team within Town Hall.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is probably the most important decision that this board ever makes. We also got a lot of feedback from the community. We got a lot of feedback from people who are involved, and the feedback came after the interviews. So I know that a lot of the feedback that we got was well thought out, and everybody was given a chance. So I agree with this motion. I think we should direct the chair and vice chair to negotiate a contract with Beth Rudolph.
Is that a motion, or is there a second?
I think that was motion and seconded.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I was just adding that, if you two want to negotiate, but that's normally how we've done it, is the chair and the vice chair negotiate the contract.
Yeah, I'm happy to
If
get
you
to
want
work on
somebody
that.
else, that's fine, but.
No, I'm happy to get to work on that. I think it will be a team effort amongst all of us. We'll probably end up talking about it at some point in our next meeting. I'm excited to see where we go. I'm excited to see where she leads us in the next 15 months. Looking forward to, the conversations and the challenges we have ahead, and see what we do. So if that's a motion and a second, I'll just do a roll call vote.
Well, John, I don't know if you want to say anything either.
I think Rich has the longest term relationship, or the deepest relationship with Beth, so I'm relying heavily on his judgment, to be frank with you, because I don't have that kind of exposure to her. So I have as much exposure, or a little more exposure to Beth than I do to Chris. So that's where I'm at. But she's been great so far.
Yeah, I mean, what I'll say too, and I know I'm talking a lot, but just kind of,
You are.
letting my process kind of, well, this meeting's got to go till 10 o'clock, right? So we've got plenty of time,
Oh, my
right? So, just using up
Perfect,
the
correct.
airtime here. It's what happens when you get paid by the hour. You talk a lot, but I think when, from my perspective, the lens that we, look through is that it's not just a sum of parts where we come up with a job description and say, do you have X, Y, Z experience? And that's the only way that you can then be able to do the things that we're asking you to do. And so I think that it's much broader, and it's your experience that has been demonstrated. Certainly, Chris rises to that occasion as well. And like I said, I've just been working with Beth for a long time and see how she stayed with projects, the Tri-Community Brightway, the culverts, the school projects. It's been great. So I look forward to the negotiations, and I'm happy if Anthea and Rich and you guys take the lead on that. I wouldn't want to negotiate with her. She's a tough cookie. Believe me, I know that. So, good luck.
All right. Hearing nothing else, I'll do a roll call vote of the motion. John?
Yes.
Mariano?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And Thea?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well, so it's unanimous. So we'll begin those discussions forthwith. We have a meeting scheduled for the 19th. That's our last one of the year. We hope to report back at that time. With that, I don't believe there's any other business this evening, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.